Hello there, number 7. Now, what I'm going to be doing in this, we're going to be forgetting about all of that stuff. So, what I'm going to be needing you to do is find your own data, specifically with age groups. Now, I've got a piece of data that's given to me in an exam. Let's go and piece of data. Let's just call it data frame for the time being. This should be your particular piece of data. Just put it out there. What is it doing? There we go. Right, so this should be your piece of data. Okay. Now, within the piece of data, you're going to have ages. Okay. I've got mine's AGY, age in years, basically. So I want to import this piece of data, call it data frame. That would be most useful. Now, let's go and do. First of all, what we're going to have to do is, because I haven't done this before, well, today. So load all the packages. The packages are up here. If you want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pause and have a look, and load them all up. Right. So number 7. Now, sometimes you're going to be wanting to. Yes, you can make a nice plot in, let's say, ggplot. You can do data frame. Aesthetics is we want x equals, I don't know, age. Okay. Then we want to do geom histogram. Let's leave it at that. Boom. Okay, so this is like the age sort of distribution going on there. We can log it, and we can go and have a look at outliers and whatever. However, if we want to go and age, and then we want to do y is another thing. It's just a number of something. We want to do turn that to bar. Bar. Maybe that'll work. Ooh, no, it doesn't. Col. Sorry. There we go. Okay, so how many insecticide treated nets there are per age group? So we've got in the, but it'd be better if you go and get proportions, and you can go and do this later on. Anyway, yeah. So it may be a useful idea when you have age groups to go and cut them into chunks. Now there are a number of ways that you can go and do this. So age groups. Now there are, as with everything well, in our there are 1,000,001 different ways to go and do this. Now, I will be at some point making a package just to go and have different iterations of chucking things into an age group. So you need to put, I know, it would be like cal underscore iteration age group 1, which would be like 0 to 16, 16 to 21, 21 to 21 to 30, and then up in iterations of 10, and then you have, because in different cultures you have different age groups mean different particular things, especially in health. So that would be very, very useful, and then you could just put your x and y in there, and then it would produce a new column within your within the data frame, and they'll have age dot groups within the particular iteration that you've looked at. Anyway, so there are, as I said, there's a number of things. So I'm going to have, if we have a look at my data frame shows stuff, got ages. Let's have a quick look, glimpse, data frame. Okay, so we've got doubles for the actual numbers. That's good. So we can start. So we can use this. This is fantastic. Okay, so first things first. Let's have data frame, and we want to make age dot groups. Age dot groups. Age dot group even. No s. And we want to make it. So there's the first one where we can do it as an integer. Okay. Where we can do find interval. This is from the base version of doing it. And you do your data frame and you say what the ages is. Age y, perfect. Then you want to go and say what age groups you want to be looking at. Now you don't need to put any of these in because they're integers. They're not strings. Now for this we want to do 0 to 5. Then we want to do 0 to 5, 6 to 16. Then we want 17 to 21. Then we want 22 to 30. Then we want 31 to 40. 41 to 50. 51 to 60. And 61 to 100. Okay? This is the kind of thing we want to have a look at. And each of these will be, this will be coded as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So, within this, now this is important, it has to be, it doesn't include the number. So it's, if you want 0 to 5, you're going to need to put 0, comma, 6. That includes everything that is 0 and up until the point of 6, which would, but not including 6. So then the next would be 17, because you want it to 16. And then the next iteration would be 17, and then you want 22. And then so on. So it needs to be sort of a number higher than you sort of are actually looking at. So we'll do 22, 31, 41, 51, 61, and 101. Okay, because that's where it ends. So let's give that a butchers, shall we? So and so we can see our data frame here. Let's see if it works. Skadoosh. Okay, look at our data frame. Look, we've got age groups now. And hopefully, so we have a male, 36, that should be in age group 5. 36, 36, 36, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, that is between 31 and 40. Now let's make sure that it's number 6 for 31. So let's find 31 and 30. Okay? Let's yeah, there we go. So I think there was a faster way of doing this. Okay, 30 is number 4. Let's make sure of that. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 0 to 30. So it's 20, including 22 and including 30 in between the two. That is fine. Let's have a look at any 31s. Whoops. 31 Wait a second. $31 is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, so that works. Okay, so you can note that that works. I'm just making sure that this is still recording. Yes, it is. Okay, fantastic. So let's just make that blanked out. Okay, so that's the first way you can go and do this. Now there are in total 3 ways. So this is a good way to work it out. Oop, I've got a mosquito here. Yeah, little. Got a lot of midges here. Or mosquitoes, or whatever it is. Anyway, right, so this is good because if we glimpse, let's glimpse it again. Glimpse it again, dead frame. We can see it is an integer. Numerics. Right, so let's make this integer. Okay, so the next one we can do is as a character. Now this is interesting. Now what we want to be doing exactly the same thing here. Let's instead age.groups dot chr. Yeah, just chr or lowercase up. I'll make it uniform. chr. Okay, so let's make this as dot character. Now we're going to be using the cut function, another base function. Then we're going to be showing the thing that we want to be looking at, or taking from, data from, etc. AGY. Okay, cool. So now we want to go and know where the breaks are. So breaks equals, and because it's a list, we put a C, brackets, etc. Now this is this kind of does the opposite of the above. Now that is heinously irritating. So it's, but you need to sort of make sure that it's you're noting this. So it's 0. So because you want to include people with who are age 0, so newborns, you need to put -1. So it's sort of not going from 0 to up until the character of 6. It's not including anything above -1, 2, and including 5. So it's literally the opposite way, which is heinously irritating. So to do exactly the same thing, you essentially need to, you need to kind of do the opposite. So you need to -1 from everything. So 40, then we want 50, then we want 60, then we want 100. Now in this goes, and because it's a character, we can go and give them labels. This is the thing that you're actually going to be able to see. So labels. So this will actually go and give you a bit more information instead of having to go and keep going back to like an almanacs kind of coding manual where you're saying 1 is 0 to 5, 2 is 6 to 16. So let's have a look at the labels. Let's do. Let's just kind of copy and paste these things that we put over earlier, and let's just make them all yellow because they are a character string. Okay, make sure to put commas between everything so you know that they're separated. Perfect. Okay, there's another thing you can do Um, now, in this, don't know why, but you have to put it in. Right equals. Ooh, I think if we put false, then it could be the one above, but I can't bother to do that at the moment. So let's give that a rumble. Skadoosh! Alright, let's have a look at age groups.character. Is that between 31 and 40? Yeah, that looks to be incorrectamundo. What is going on here? 0 to 5. That is 7. I must have done something a little bit incorrect. Oh no, of course it's 7. I need more sleep, obviously. So that appears to be all hunky-dory. Fantastic. Right. So, next up, we are going to have a look at exactly the same thing, but in a factor. So, let's have a look at this. Factor. Now, we're going to do exactly the same thing, but we're going to be making it that factor. So, not CHR, we're going to do FCT factor. Then we're going to be doing, for a factor, we're going to be doing well, for this, to make it a factor, instead of adding as character, this cutting function will work automatically as a factor, because it's saying they're groups. We've just specified it as a character here. So, if we have a look at it, and actually run it again, skadoosh. Ooh, no, it does not like that. Oh, pardon. There we go. That should, yeah, there we go. Perfect. So I just gotta make sure the brackets are correct. So yeah, that should work. Perfect. Now, here to have exactement the same thing. These should be absolutely equal to one another. Now, let's have a look at the glimpse again. Glimpse and data frame, integer, character, factor. Okay, how wonderful is this, huh? Now, alas, there are more ways to go and do this, and there's one particular way that is maybe quite useful in the Tidyverse package. So, Tidyverse, and I'm going to go and tell you exactly how to do this. And this is quite an easy way of it kind of makes sense. It makes sense to me a little bit more, if I'm particularly honest, where you just put your data frame, equals data frame, and what we want to do, we want to mutate, and we want to make a new column. We want to do age dot group tidy, the tidy version of it, equals equals. Now we want to specify when there's a case. Okay, so case when. Okay, when will it be a case, eh? It will be between there. Now you've got to go and specify the value, which is AGY, between 0 and 16. Well, I'll show you how this works. This is including, so this is greater than or equal to 0 and greater than or equal to and less than or equal to 16. That's essentially what it's stating. And I like this because it just so greater than or equal to 0 and 1 less than 16. So this is sort of copying over from the thing up here. So I'll show you. Let's say we want to swap. We want to change it up. So we're going to do this little squiggly thing, and then we want to call it 0 to 15. Okay. Oh, sorry. It should be 16. I know it's complicated. It's annoying. So let's say we want to turn these into two variables. We want to have 0 to 15 and 16 and above, right? Because I can't bother to write all this stuff out again and again and again and again. If we want everything else to be just a default value, everything else that is not the first one between 0 and 16 equal to 0 and less than 16, then you can just say true squiggle is 16 and above. Okay. There's an in there. So let's give that a gander. This is just it's a tidyverse sort of format of doing things, if you see what I mean. Skadoosh. Okay, so let's have a look at our data frames. So we've got the tidyverse and we've got separated things there. Now let's have a look at now tidyverse turns it into a character because we've stated that it's a character here. If these were numbers, it would be different. Let's say we make it 0 and everything else is going to be 1. Exactly the same thing will happen, and then when we go and add this, there'll be a double numeric. Let's just keep it at that. Now, there's some other interesting things you can go and do with this, especially in the piped functions. Let's say we want to, okay, so after all of this, that's kind of cool. Then we want to do some other stuff. We want to say, count age groups tidy, and whether or not you had insecticide treated nets or not. Then, then we want to mutate to make something called a proportions. Proportions equals the number of those counts. So we want to count age group by ITN. So it's essentially saying how many of that is in each of these. And then we want to, after that, go and mutate to make a proportions column and have n sum of n. Let's see what this brings us, eh? Now this only brings us 4 values. I should have just done this like that. Now, because we had ITNs were NAs, they should have been zeros, so because you just didn't have any. These are indicating how many people had one. Now you can go and see the proportions of each of these in a nice little box here, which is very, very nice to go and have. However, let's just get rid of this and reload it. Sorry. That was irritating. Let's data frame. Yep. Don't know why it does. Anyway, let's just let's just chill. So this could be just, maybe you want to create something intermittently, and then afterwards you want to make a calculation out of it. But first, so let's just let's give that a gander. Let's run that, and now we're going to show you down in the little explanation box exactly what's going on. So here are the proportions. Now we've got the zeros, and we've got NAs that should be zeros. So maybe let's fix that and state, okay, so data frame, we want to do ITN, and inside said ITN we want to do is dot NA, and we want to do our little brackets, and we're going to do data frame ITN, and then we want to make sure that anything that is an NA in the data frame is 0. Let's do that. Alright, that's kind of done now, and now you're going to see this as a change, because we've got the people who are under 15 who didn't have them were under this proportion. Now let's say we wanted instead to have a look at specifically what the proportions were for individuals that were actually just 0 to 15. We don't really care about them. We can calculate these individually, it's not very difficult, but now let's, instead of account that, we can go and we can do another one. We can do the filter command, and we can do age dot group type equals this, because that's all we care about. Close out brackets, and then we want to do that little pipe function to make sure everything's all okay. Then we want to do the thing again, and now we've got an actual proportion of whatever that is. But yeah, here's just a set number of ways you can go and do this. I think I've been talking for ages. Yeah, 28 minutes. Wow. All right. Well, that's a lesson in chopping and slicing. Okay. I'll stop recording now. All right. Over and out.